Well, good afternoon. Today is the 5th of January and it's the first day of the third national lockdown. It's a bit different from the last lockdown in that getting out and filming cars is a little bit trickier than it was. I did do some reviews during the second one because actually I looked at the rules quite carefully and it was actually okay to do them within certain defined parameters. At the moment I'm actually not sure whether I can film any reviews anymore. You could argue that this is my job to entertain you through the lockdown, and so I'm travelling for work purposes, but I don't know if at the moment whether I feel I should be doing that or not. Perhaps you could let me know in the comments below. What I do know is that there's only two places I can actually stay, which is here in Eastleigh and at Mr. Coleman's house, which is in the Midlands. The reason I can do that, of course, is because we've been in a social bubble with Mr. Coleman, who lives on his own, since June, and Mr. Coleman actually is going to come down to see us at the weekend. He'll be looking at the cooling system on our River 45 V6, which at the moment is not looking in the best condition, as you might have seen in the ownership report of the Rover earlier this week. So, everything like that is completely above board. It's not an issue or anything like that for him to come and see me or for me to go and see him. That's fine. It's not a problem, and that's great. It allows us to get through some difficult times if we're able to do that. However, I'm not entirely sure whether it means when we're on the way to see Mr. Coleman or on the way back, whether I am able to film these reviews or not. The rules stay that you can meet up with one person outside for exercise in a public place, and I don't know whether that is defined as exercise in a public place. So I'm just gonna have to be a bit mindful of that. Even if I'm filming reviews here locally in Hampshire or close by here, I don't think it's exercise, if you see what I mean. If I was actually just saying that is my job, and at the moment obviously I really can't do much in terms of sourcing cars to people because, well, a lot of the dealerships are actually closed. Some of them had closed before because we went into tier 4 in our area anyway, actually last year. So some of them were already closed for things like sales. Obviously, MOTs and servicing does remain a legitimate excuse to keep a place open, and so those are continuing. But in terms of the sort of sales and things, that is a bit difficult. Now, people are still buying and selling cars privately, as they did during the first lockdown, and I think some dealerships are offering contact-free services if people really need cars, and there will be people who will need to change their car at this sort of time. However, I don't anticipate too much in terms of work for me in this particular scenario because there wasn't much in the first one. The second one, we were able to sort of continue a bit more in that way because the regulations weren't as strict. So, rather like Mr. Richardson from Furious Driving has alluded to, during the first sort of while, he was making lots of content because he couldn't do any photo shoots with cars or anything. So that sort of became more of his job and things. So, this is something I'm sort of pondering, whether or not you would consider me filming a review sort of just on my own, literally being 2 meters away from the owner or whatever, and then in a safe way passing me the keys to the car, and me going out on my own to do them, only staying either at home or with the area Mr. Coleman is, and you know, going up on the way to do that. I've had people offer me some, particularly in his area, which is really nice of them. And you know, I've got some actually quite exciting cars to do just there. I mean, in other parts of the country, I don't think I'd be even go, because you know, it would be literally going to do that, which I'm not sure I'd consider to be at the moment, unless I thought this was my whole job, which of course it really isn't, and I've got to be mindful of that. So you know, up in northeast England or in East Anglia and things like that, that's probably stretching it a little bit too far. But let me know what you think in the comment section below, because you know, we can do what we did during the first lockdown, which was to have these very vague vlogs, and this is a very vague vlog. This is just what happens. I stick the camera somewhere in the windscreen of the car. You can still see the mount, because the phone I use is quite short, and so you can't kind of move it too far in the mount to get rid of the actual mount itself. It's just the way that it goes with this phone. The quality of the video is actually quite good today, but you know, you can see the mount, which is just the way it goes. I'm afraid it's just the way it is. I am using a separate microphone today, though, with an extremely long lead, which I keep tripping over. So that should improve the sound quality, at least for you. I also want to assure you that I am on a completely and utterly essential mission today, to go to the supermarket for my mother. That will pull into the supermarket at the end of the video, and you'll just see where we're going. It's not very exciting. So you know, the very vague vlogs will continue about topics like this, and we'll keep going through the lockdown. Also, what you might have seen is that there was no video yesterday, and that wasn't an accident or anything. The reason why is because I was still making 5 videos a week all the way through lockdown, and I'm really not sure if that was the best thing to do. By the lockdown, the first one, from March to about sort of May, really. I'm not sure it's the best thing to do. I didn't get a lot of interest in what I was putting out, because I couldn't really put any reviews out for, you know, the reasons that lockdown actually first time was even stricter than this one is. So there was no way of making any reviews or anything like that, and so I just put out what I could, and it wasn't really that exciting to anybody. So apart from if you're really into very old television series from before this century, which some people are, and I do have a very loyal fan base of people who love seeing the cars of these old TV series discussed, and I really like making those videos, but they don't really have a general audience appeal particularly. You could argue that my entire channel doesn't really have a general audience appeal, but nevertheless we keep going and trying to do what we can do under the circumstances. So yes, Mr. Cole will be coming. Hopefully we can trace whatever fault was with the cooling system and the rover. We won't be using it for the time being, because if you drive 15 miles or something, you end up using almost a litre of coolant, which is ridiculous. So we're in the Sanyong today, which has proven very reliable. We've had obviously 2 ownership reports in the last week or so on the channel, and I hope you've enjoyed those. So we will be trying to produce other types of content, obviously top 10 best-selling cars. That will continue. Live streams will continue. There is one actually coming up with Mr. Coleman on Friday evening. I haven't decided on the time yet, because I don't know what time he's actually going to arrive. But there will be a live stream with Mr. Coleman this Friday evening, because he suggested that we should do it. And you know, the live streams we've had so far, a lot of people seem to like them. So you know, obviously we can continue with that. We can continue with the normal question and answer videos, which tend to be a bit kind of more specific and, you know, less rushed than the live ones are. And I will hopefully be endeavouring to get Mr. Lawrence Callahan, my friend who, with his band, wrote the music and recorded the music for Tweed Jacket reviews and sensible second-hand reviews on the channel, because we can do Zoom or whatever. So I do have ideas of what to do. There'll also be a video at some point about Oh my gosh, is that an Infiniti QX30? Yes, it is. They're not common. Yes, so there will be a video about the new charges for non-residents of London coming in to the city. Sorry if the camera is very, very, very jerky on this section. It's, as you can see, it's not very, very smooth at all. So yes, here we are at the supermarket where I should be picking up stuff for my mother, who, because she's over 70, was in self-isolation until I think something like July during the first lockdown. So it's a very familiar thing for me to be doing. So I suppose it just remains for me to say thank you ever so much indeed for watching this very vague vlog. They're very rambling. They're not very exciting, but you know, lockdown's not particularly exciting itself. It's not an exciting thing or anything. It's just something that we have to deal with, and so it allows me to just kind of have something to. Oh, thank you, parking sensors. It allows me to have something to actually sort of put out that's particularly of interest to the very long time subscribers on the channel, and we'll try as best we can to continue. But as I've said throughout this, it's just dependent on sort of what sort of goes on, and I think until middle of February we'll be doing what we can. There are a number of other automotive channels, even the smaller ones like Maverick Motors and Walls Wheels, who would very much appreciate you watching their stuff. Obviously the larger ones like Hubnut, JM on Cars, High Peak Autos, iDriver Classic, Twin Cam, whatever they put out, they'll be doing their best to provide you with something. And if that's not as exciting as what the normal stuff is, then, well, you know the reason, don't you? But thank you ever so much for bearing with, I suppose, all of us in the automotive YouTube community at this time. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. If you want to receive all notifications, then click the notification bell and select that option. And yes, the links to Instagram and Facebook are in the video description below. And next video should be on Friday. Thank you.